Howdy folks, and welcome back to World of Tanks with the mighty Jingles. I don't know if you recall last week I was talking about how for some bizarre reason I suddenly seem to be seeing an awful lot of astonishingly good World of Tanks battles. The kind of games that aren't over in the first 4 minutes. The kind of games where you see people either doing a remarkable amount of damage or getting a remarkable number of kills, and they don't just do it by sitting at the back in a hidden tank destroyer firing the gun every 8 seconds at targets that have just been lit up by people doing the actual dangerous work up front. You know, games that are actually interesting to watch as well as having great results. This is one of those battles. This is Killer Tank 962, and he's in the VK101P, which is... actually there are quite a few German Tier 8 non-premium heavy tanks now. There are 3. Of course, you've got the Tiger 2, which isn't very good. You've got the VK4502, the infamous shoebox, which is, well, it's got good mobility, let's just leave it at that. Then you got this, the VK101P, which has absolutely terrible mobility with a top speed of 20 kilometers per hour. But its armour is godlike. This is a Tier 8 heavy tank that from the front at least can quite happily take hits from Tier 10s. Of course, it is absolutely huge and boxy and very, very slow, which makes it an extremely juicy target for artillery. And in this particular Tier 8 battle on mines, there are 3 artillery per team. Now, I mentioned that this tank does have shockingly good frontal armour for a Tier 8, and that is true. But you do still have to keep the lower glacis covered up, because when you come over a ridge like this and you expose that lower glacis, the opportunity to take a paddling of epic proportions, as Killer Tank just did from a hidden Rheinmetall Balsig on with a 150mm gun down there, well, he's just lost half of his health. And the battle isn't even 2 minutes old. I'm actually wondering right now why Killer Tank is fighting here at all, because in a tank as slow as this you're obviously not going to get to the hill ahead of the enemy team, and he hasn't. The very best you can hope to do is prevent any of the slower mediums or faster heavies on the enemy team from getting up to the top of the hill, which I suppose he is doing, but you're not going to advance any further than this across all of that open ground in front of all of those hidden enemy tank destroyers. Similarly, you're not really going to get onto the hill from here either, because, well, you'd have to turn sideways in front of all of those hidden enemy tank destroyers, and while the VK101P does have very, very good frontal armour, providing you can keep the lower glacis covered up, it has terrible side and rear armour, and it's very slow, which would give all of those hidden tank destroyers and whatever else is hiding down there all the time in the world to line up the shots into your less than impressive side armour. The side skirts, oh nice, you got the T-77, good. Yes, the side skirts covering the tracks, they do make this thing very, very good at side scraping though. And help mitigate some of the inevitable artillery damage you're going to be taking, but it looks like Killer Tank has realised that he's done everything that he can do up there. He can't advance any further from that position. He can't go anywhere from there. So why sit there just getting hit by artillery over and over and over? Good question, Killer Tank. I'm glad you asked it. So he's not feeling particularly clever right now. He's lost more than half of his health, mostly to the Rheinmetall Balsig, but also he's being nickel and dimed to death by the artillery. Hopefully he can do a bit more good on this side. There are certain... wait, what? What the hell? Okay. It's his tank, he can do what he wants with it. Don't come here asking for refunds though. But anyway, yeah. Oh, and he's already... there's the CS-44. Yeah, this is more like it. More targets on this side. And with the health that he has remaining, more opportunity to actually make this armour work. The gun's not bad either. As you can see, 440 alpha damage. And the penetration's okay for a Tier 8, 220mm, although if you're prepared to roll your face all over the 2 key, you can have 260mm. And while the armour from the front is very good, you do have to be very careful, something that the first enemy VK did not do. Killer Tank penetrated him once in the lower glacis and then once in the side, and that's the trick. because for the first shot the enemy VK did not angle the lower glacis enough to avoid penetration, and after taking that hit he then angled enough to avoid being hit in the lower glacis, but that opened up the side armour for a penetrating shot. Still one other enemy VK in front of him, and he's trying to troll him here into shooting at his heavily angled lower glacis, but the enemy VK does not appear to be falling for that old gag. Takes a quick look behind him. The situation to the rear is not looking very good actually. Sees if he can fall back and sucker the enemy VK and are coming after him and getting hit by the artillery, but he's already getting hit by artillery where he is, so well, fine. We'll do this the old-fashioned way. The team have just lost another 2 tanks. They're losing 6 kills to 11, which means he's only got 3 surviving teammates and 2 of those are artillery, so he's going to have to go for it here. Nice. Took out the enemy VK while he was looking for a weak spot to shoot at. Right, so can he assist his 3 surviving teammates from over here? Not really, but he can't charge down there because there's still a KV-3, a Rheinmetall Borsig and an AMX 1375 unaccounted for. Actually, wait a minute. They're above him. Ah, and there's the Stuart Emil. Alright, we'll finish him off. That's 1 gun less shooting back at us. They've just lost the Panther M10. Not entirely sure what the KV-3 thought he was going to achieve by doing that, but I guess it beats doing nothing. Actually, no it doesn't. Nothing would have been better. KV-3 down. 1 surviving teammate. There's the Borsig, and we already know what that guy can do with his 150mm gun. Angling up the side scrape, takes the hit. Borsig, come on, show me something. Somehow, I have no idea how, that managed to miss. The Panther M10, actually, you know what? Panther M10's not a problem. Even if he loads the gold, he's going to really struggle. On the other hand, it wouldn't do to ignore him. Because if you ignore him, he gets around behind you. And then he can actually penetrate your armour. And they know exactly where you are, and by the way, yes, you are now the last tank left alive on your team against 6 enemies. And they know exactly where you are, because the AMX 1375 is keeping you proximity spotted. I mean, the Panther M10 can continue to shoot at the front of this tank all he likes. All he's doing is giving Killer Tank a steel wall medal. But it's the AMX 1375 who's the real problem right now. And if he would... Oh, hang on a second. No, he's not a problem anymore. I thought if he continues to reverse, he's going to start getting hit by enemy artillery. But, well, there was a method to his madness, and the AMX 1375 paid the price. He should still be artillery safe here, unless enemy artillery are relocating because they know he's the only tank left. Takes a blind shot there, hoping to get the Panther M10. This is one of the tanks where you do have a substantial ammo reserve, however, so you can afford to take speculative shots like that, but only if you're not expecting to get shot at. Because while this gun does have huge alpha damage for a heavy tank, 440, it does have a very, very slow reload. Ah. Well, 1, it looks like artillery is relocating, and 2, I guess the Borsig knew he could afford to take a hit. But wouldn't it have been better to go up to where the AMX 1375 was? Instead of driving out in front of a 128mm gun. And while he probably thought, well, I've got 1100 health, his gun does 440 alpha, I can afford to take 3 hits. Yeah, not if one of those hits is high explosive, which does 630 average damage. Enemy artillery have definitely relocated now. Finishes off the M10 and then moves even further forward to avoid taking any further artillery hits because it's just artillery left. And that's a bit of a good news, bad news situation. 1, it's just artillery left. The bad news, of course, is that he only has 215 health remaining, and the artillery has been doing around about 150 damage, give or take, every time it hits him. So he might be able to take 2 more artillery hits. He might be able to take 3. Then again, he might not. Oh, it's an S51. Well, not anymore. That was a bit of a panic shot. Understandably so, too. And extremely lucky that it actually hit, because the gun handling on this thing is pretty bad. Fortunately, he doesn't have to go looking for the enemy artillery because there are 2 tanks capping. There are only 2 tanks left, and yep, there's 1. Got him. You see, if the enemy artillery had just been hiding in a bush somewhere, I mean, this thing's visible from low Earth orbit. There's no sneaking up on anybody in a machine like this. If the arty had just been hiding in a bush near their base, they would have seen him coming, and between the three of them, they would almost certainly have killed him. Now that does of course assume that Killer Tank would have been stupid enough to cross open ground in a machine that can be seen from low Earth orbit in order to try to hunt down the last three artillery hiding in bushes somewhere. What I suspect he probably would have done, had that been the case, would be to simply sit in the cap circle, which is what the last enemy artillery is doing, the GW Panther, and force them to come to him. That still would have been very risky, because if they'd all rushed him at the same time, he could absolutely have probably killed one, but the other two might have gotten him. Instead, by going for the cap like this, the enemy arty are actually playing right into his hands, because he doesn't have to fight all three of them at the same time. He can kill one, hide, wait for the reload, side scrape around a corner, look for the next one, and repeat the process. I mean, he was kind of lucky that the S-51 was waiting in ambush and he managed to get the shot off first, but that meant that he only has to do this twice against the M12 and the Geschutzwagen Panther. And while the timer is running down, the cap circle is only so big and there are only so many places that the Geschutzwagen Panther could have been hiding. And that, kids, is 12 kills for Killer Tank 962 in the VK101P. And yeah, 12 kills is pretty impressive, but it's not just 12 kills. I don't think I've ever seen a battle that resulted in a haul of medals and awards quite like this before. Let's just go through them, shall we? So, well, there's Ace Tanker, obviously. Then there's Bruiser, Duelist, Fire for Effect, and Shellproof. And then we move on to the big ones. There's the Pools medal for the first 10 of his 12 kills. And then we have the Kolobanov's medal for standing alone against 5, actually it was 6 enemy tanks and winning. The Dimitriev's medal for nailing 3 artillery in one battle. The Defender for, obviously, all of those capture resets. High Caliber for the 6,500 damage that he did. Steel Wall, thank you Panther M10 for the 4,600 damage that he blocked. Crucial Contribution for being in a platoon and getting at least 12 kills. And then Top Gun for the, first 6 of his kills. So, yeah, when I said that I'd been witnessing an awful lot of really good World of Tanks battles lately, hopefully you'll agree that I wasn't exaggerating. Killer Tank, first of all, obviously, congratulations on an astonishingly good result. And thank you so much for sending it in. I hope everybody enjoyed it, because that's it for today. As always, take care, stay safe, and I'll catch you next time.